there are over 100,000 people playing Battlefield games right now. As a Halo player, I look on and I'm just shocked at the strong numbers that Battlefield has put up every single year, especially with their older titles pulling pretty absurd numbers. Take Battlefield 5, for instance. The game was in Steam's top 10 games just a few weeks ago during the autumn sale. And that's for a game that is seen as like one of the worst Battlefield launches in history, like other than 2042. Battlefield 1 is pulling 15K concurrent peak in the last 24 hours, and that's just on Steam. That's not including the tons of people playing on the EA app and through Game Pass. If you watch the channel regularly, you'll know that I love Battlefield. Even though this channel started primarily with Halo, I've loved this franchise since around like Battlefield 3. I grew up playing 1942 on my friend's computer and I thought it was incredible, but it really wasn't until Battlefield 3 on the Xbox 360 where I really fell in love with the sandbox, the sound design, the destruction, the unique blend of just total chaos that is Battlefield. I am continually impressed that Battlefield has been able to hold up such strong numbers, especially since, in my opinion, the last 5 years of being a Battlefield fan has been kinda rough. I won't sugarcoat it. Battlefield 2042 and Battlefield 5 steered the ship in the wrong direction, in my opinion. And while both have improved since release, and they're in much better states, I haven't actually fallen deeply in love with a Battlefield game since Battlefield 4. It's not to say Battlefield 1 isn't insanely good, because it is. And going back now to play that game is just amazing, but on the whole, I feel like the franchise has been wandering for a number of years, with poor launches, inconsistent post-release support, and yet, you have 100,000 plus people playing Battlefield games concurrently each day. It's really impressive, and I think it bodes super well for FPS fans that this franchise is a juggernaut that needs a strong return to its roots. This is a bit of an anecdote, but after thinking about it, especially in the context of someone who also loves Halo, I think Battlefield has wandered for like the last 5 years and missed the mark a bit with BF5 in 2042, but overall, they didn't really change the series to the degree that Halo ultimately did. Battlefield, even with Battlefield 5 in 2042, didn't really change the formula all that much. Large-scale warfare, vehicles, a huge sandbox, insane visuals, and audio design, all multi-platform. And that formula still works remarkably well to this day. It creates a never-ending amount of great, unique moments. Why do you think it's still so enjoyable to watch crazy jet clips from Battlefield 4 or ridiculous kill feeds in Battlefield 1? The game's sandbox is so open-ended, and it just lays the groundwork for an FPS title like no other. Which is why right now is an exceptionally good time to go out and try some of the older Battlefield games. The Steam Winter Sale is going to start in just a few days on December 21st, so I have a few recommendations for you. Wait for the sale to buy these games if you don't have them yet. The autumn sale had most of these games discounted so low, like less than $5 or $10. Battlefield 4, Battlefield 1, and Battlefield 5 are my main recommendations. Battlefield 4 is still rockin' and rollin', and if you watch the channel, you know that for the last few years, I probably make a Battlefield 4 video like once every couple months. I love this game so much, and I've had the most amount of playtime in it versus any other Battlefield title. This remains my favorite Battlefield game of all time. The sandbox, weapons, environment, vehicles, the setting, the level destruction, the DLCs, gunplay, everything. It's just so good. Hundreds and hundreds of hours later, the game still feels so new every time I open it up. This is the quintessential classic Battlefield to have right now, in my opinion. And while I personally enjoy Battlefield 3 more, like back in the day, I think 2024 and beyond, BF4 will be realistically probably more playable, especially if you're new to playing some of the legacy games. There's always a few Conquest servers running, a lot of which use the DLC, so I highly recommend picking it up if it's also on sale, as the DLC or the premium maps in Battlefield 4 were amazing. A quick trick though for new players, make sure that you use Battlelog to see which servers are really full and which aren't. Battlelog is a website that lets you search the server browser list. For years now, the player numbers have been spoofed on certain servers in Battlefield 4's menu. And so you may click into a server that looks like full Conquest and find out there's only 10 people in it. So use Battlelog to avoid that. Battlefield 4 may be a little bit difficult to jump into because it's not nearly as populated as BF1 or 5, but the gunplay is just, it's so amazing. I can't really play it for more than like 2-3 hours at a time at this point. There's some quality of life things that the more recent Battlefield games do much better at, but you really can't go wrong, and you need Battlefield 4 in your collection. And then there's Battlefield 1, my next recommendation. This game is great. It was great when it released, and now that PCs have had a chance to really catch up to just how jaw-dropping visually amazing this title is, it's even better. No Battlefield game, I think, compares to the level of spectacle that Battlefield 1 is. The photogrammetry techniques used to assemble the world is unmatched. Gunplay, phenomenal. Atmosphere on point, and the sound design. Oh, it's all just perfect. I can go back and session Battlefield 1 anytime, anywhere. And thanks to recent sales, the game has honestly done so well the last 18 months. It's like it's had a complete second life. This is yet another game I strongly recommend getting the premium maps for. I think it adds like 16 new maps to the pool. Battlefield 1 will absolutely live and thrive until the next Battlefield game and beyond, because it's just that good. And then we have Battlefield 5, which honestly, I didn't really like all that much the first 6 months. It was buggy and had tons of issues at launch, which seemed like the game really just didn't nail things from the start. But as you would expect from a Battlefield title, it would improve over time. So much so that now it's really one of the best looking and definitely the most populated World War II style FPS game out there right now, the modern one. Gunplay feels great. There's some nice improvements to the squad system. Thankfully, this is also where the shift happened to where you didn't need premium to play post-launch content or maps. Right now, Battlefield 5 for some reason is doing the best out of all the older legacy games. Probably due to the recent autumn sale. It's a great game and I've sunk a lot of time into it. By the way, sniping in both Battlefield 5 and Battlefield 1 feel particularly good in my opinion. A quick honorable mention for 2042, which will probably be on sale as well. The game had a horrible launch and it took so long to get good. But at this point, it's actually really fun and has a nice sandbox. I may not love the setting or the performance or the visuals, but the actual base gunplay is something that I find myself craving. And honestly, I've put a lot of time into 2042, way more than I expected to. So don't miss out. I just would prioritize like Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 4 over this one for sure. So Battlefield is doing great with its older titles. And it still has a huge player base. That is awesome. But I want to know what is next for the series. We know that 2042 is getting a new season in March of this next year. And EA has stated that there is no new Battlefield game releasing in the fiscal year 2024. Now remember though, the fiscal year ends on September 30th, 2024. So it doesn't rule out a new Battlefield game coming next holiday season. We know that EA has said in their investor earnings call that the next Battlefield will be a reimagination of the franchise, and them saying that they really want to create a truly connected ecosystem. I'm actually incredibly excited for what's next for Battlefield. In 2021, you had Vince Zampella taking the helm of the franchise. Criterion is now working on Battlefield. This is the studio behind Burnout and Need for Speed. Ridgeline Games, Marcus Leto's new studio, is developing a narrative Battlefield campaign. I think they've learned their lessons from 2042, and frankly, the player counts on their legacy games show one thing. People want a strong Battlefield title. I mean, just look at BattleBit Remastered. Just a small team of 2, 3, 4 people who created arguably one of the most fun Battlefield-style experiences in recent memory. So I think with the talent and the studios behind them, Battlefield is in such a good spot. All they need to do now, land a good game, please have a good setting, and make it honor the desires of the core fan base. If you made it this deep in the video, thanks for watching. Definitely shout out down below with your favorite Battlefield game. Like the video, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you again in the next one.